Hey, I'm Chris Van Vliet. Go behind the scenes and beyond the headlines with the biggest names in pro wrestling and beyond.
Sandy's app. If I give you a decade, who do you think's the MVP?
80s, Hogan, not even close. 90s, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Absolutely.
2000s, John Cena.
You filmed the Blade in 2004.
Yeah.
Isn't the story that role was going to be for
Steve Austin?
For Steve Austin.
Yep. What is one man's trash is another man's trophy.
Mindset, motivation, insight with Chris Van Vliet. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
It is 10 o'clock. Welcome in. This is Three-Man Front on Jocks. Day 2, I guess, officially of the SEC spring meetings down in Destin, Florida. We will keep you posted on some potential happenings going on. You will not have the car wash of coaches and ADs and executives rolling through there doing interviews. This is when they really get down to the brass tacks. You know, you hear from the coaches and ADs the first day. But then you see a situation starting to develop where they get in these committee meetings, they start talking about things, and then lo and behold, you might get a little bit of movement, but by the end of the week, the presidents and the chancellors will vote on certain things. We're also waiting. It was a story that came out late last night, and we have been waiting for Congress to step in with some guardrails in regards to NIL, transfer portal, all that kind of fun stuff. Well, I've just been told just a few moments ago that there could be some news coming within the next hour that Senators Maria Cantwell and Senator Ted Cruz from Texas, they're expected to unveil a bipartisan bill that would give the NCAA limited antitrust protection to enforce transfer and eligibility rules. Potentially, this would limit players to just one transfer while also creating an enforceable player salary cap, an agent registry system, and codifying parts of the House settlement. So all of this potentially has the makings of going down within the next hour, I have been told. A lot of people have not seen the actual bill or what's going to be in the bill, but this is just based on some reporting from people that I trust down in Destin, Florida right now, who is literally texting me as we speak.
How in the world, Pat, do we get both sides of the aisle to agree on a bill?
I don't know. It's pretty crazy because I was told last night that not really sure the SEC is going to be very excited about this bill. And the reason why is because the biggest fight in this bill could be over television money. The bill would allow conferences and schools to pull media rights and sell them collectively. That is something that the Big Ten and the SEC, they are vehemently opposed to. This is a Cody Campbell move. Cody wants to put everything in one big pot and distribute it equally, like it's a socialist society. The SEC and the Big Ten, they don't want that. So that is going to be a huge fight. And no matter what we see come out of this bill, I just want to remind everybody that there's going to be hearings. There will be amendments to the bill. There will be lobbying. There will be conference pushback. All of that is coming. So, and we don't know what the verbiage is as of yet, but I'm just going ahead and laying the groundwork based on the people in Destin, Florida, boots on the ground, have been telling me from last night and literally as we're on the show right now, as I'm getting continued text messages of what potentially is happening down in Florida.
Well, we have historical events typically that happen when Trey Wallace joins the show, so today would be no different.
Yeah, and Trey is obviously following this story, so we hope to catch up with Trey. As we know, we've got a lot of friends down there covering the event, so hopefully we can catch up with him. But that will be a big story, what the SEC, their response to it. But as we know, kind of following this, whether it was the House settlement or this potential bill, it's not like this is going to a vote in the next week or two.
No.
This is just something that...
But it's a start. It's something that we can look at, and then you'll get conjecture and people that are adding into it and finding the faults of it and potential shortfalls, but also the benefits. I applaud them for just getting it to this stage, and I have no idea what's in it.
Me neither.
I applaud them for at least getting to this stage.
But from all indications, it will probably go over like a lead balloon at the SEC spring meetings.
Yes.
So
seems like everything's going over like a lead balloon. It just depends on what side of the room you're in.
Yeah. Well, one thing the SEC did do yesterday, they did vote on something. They did come to a resolution, as the Cupcake Saturday, or also known as SoCon Saturday.
Lettuce Saturday.
Yeah, all of that is going bye-bye. That is no more a thing. Are you sad, Conrad? You won't get to see UT Chattanooga or Mercer or name the SoCon school on that Saturday?
I am very happy about this because there's nothing worse than getting to that point in the season, and then you look at the schedule for the next week and you go, oh, these games suck.
I call that Leaf Day.
Yes.
Oh, you get to a lot of yard
That's
work
where
done.
you see a lot of guys
Yep,
with
about
big
halfway-
piles of leaves in their yard that day.
Yep, halfway through the second quarter, I think I've seen enough on this
Honey,
one.
there's
I'm
no good
going-
games on. We got 5 birthday parties to take the kids to. I'm doing leaves.
Well, I do know a lot of people that used to enjoy those because those are the type games that very typically, if you've got kids that are very active in activities in the fall, whether they play football on a Friday night or they have other activities, and then you get to that game and it doesn't cost a family of 4 your mortgage to go to a game, and you get an opportunity to go hang out and go to a game, and it's affordable tickets. But that has gone by the wayside. The SEC ADs voted yesterday to have everyone play a conference game on the penultimate week of the regular season. That will be effective in the 2027 season. It ends the tradition that started about 2 decades ago. I mean, as long as you and I have been following this very closely. It's funny, Greg Sankey said, I think that's the end of the Cupcake weekend in late November. He said, smiling, and he added, we never got that one sponsored, though.
This is a major missed opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Our friends at Little Debbie.
I was about to say, Little Debbie always wanted to sponsor, and they couldn't. Seriously, though, I do imagine this is for college football playoff reasons, right? You want that extra opportunity to impress the committee against another conference opponent, get that extra
where they don't have that
push,
lasting
maybe.
impression of you playing Mercer.
Correct.
Or whoever before you played your last game.
Yep.
Have that last data point. It is funny because whether it's Alabama or Auburn, I mean, everybody's guilty of it. This year, there are 4 such games on the schedule. You've got UT Chattanooga against Alabama. Samford is at Auburn. Wofford's at Ole Miss. Tennessee Tech is at Mississippi State. So there's 4 examples right there of that lettuce game. And so that will go by the wayside starting next year. Now, I think I saw this correct. Correct me if I'm wrong, Conrad. I think Bama in 2028 is it UT Martin? But it's scheduled in September. It's not
think
a
that's right,
so-called cupcake weekend game. It will just be
earlier in the season.
Yeah. In September.
And I hate to compare it to the other conference that plays the night games, but Big Ten, they do this. They knock out
They play all their MAC
MAC games early in the season.
Yeah, like the first 3 weeks of the season.
Well, and I just wonder if moving forward, so you have 12 games, 9 conference games, do you go cupcake game week 1, kind of warm up, get everything figured out? Week 2, maybe that's when you play a non-conference game of like the Alabama-Ohio State game, and then week 3 to kind of recover another cupcake game, and then you get into your conference slate.
Kind of like a little escalator.
Yeah, I could see that maybe being the strategy moving forward is kind of sandwich that non-con game in between them. So you've got your warm-up game, and then if you're a little beat up, you've got a rest game.
I think it depends on the coach. It depends on what you have coming back, and nowadays it changes a lot more than it used to. But if you have a team that was coming off and you had a lot of returners, coaches, I've heard them say, no, I want that opponent. So we're thinking about that opponent all summer in the weight room. There's focus. It's not we're opening up with Ball State or one of those MAC schools. But I've heard it on the other side. We got a young team, like to kind of put our toe in the water before we totally jump in. But lettuce game going away, I don't hate it from a fan aspect. I hate it for the dad, for the family that has found college, just going to watch a sporting event in general, to be cost prohibitive for that family. I hope that we can be creative in how we find ways to get those folks to games.
Oh, I didn't think our team was going to be that great this year. Wow, they've really exceeded expectations. Let's go see them late in the year when they've got a lot of momentum.
A-Day. Let's bring in another team with other uniforms, and let's have a band, and let's do it up, and let's turn the scoreboard on, and let's have fun. $5 a ticket.
Maybe so.
So I'm just looking at
$5?
What's going on in Destin today. And the only thing that they have big up on the board is at 1:30 today, there's a press conference, a gambling education initiative.
Probably beneficial.
Do we enroll? What do we do?
I don't know if this is.
It's just for the coaches?
I don't know if this is something. This is press conference gambling education initiative, which tells me I think the SEC probably has passed some type of legislation. You might call that the Brendan Sorsby Act. I'm not really sure.
Well, he'd be speaking today.
Probably via Zoom.
Well, he's out of rehab now, so he's good.
Yeah.
He's rehabilitated.
That was quick.
Yeah.
I mean, I just.
No, it was. It was.
That was. I mean, I know we got a football season that's, quickly under 100 days now.
We've got to make sure he's in shape just in case.
It was a bunch of bets, but it was a little bit.
Yeah, just 10,000 of them.
Yes. So it's
He just wanted to feel closer to his team since he wasn't on the field. He wanted that unity of feeling like he was a part of something on Saturday.
He went through the Fast Pass program.
35-day inpatient rehab for gambling addiction in Goodyear, Arizona.
How close is that to the resort that Vrabel and Rossini were at?
In
Is it close?
Sedona?
Yeah. Wonder if that's right down the road.
Sometimes people get off the pills and the sauce and they're actually eating square meals. They put on a little weight.
Mm-hmm.
Any news? Has he put on some pounds?
I have not seen any video or pictures of him. He does have a court date set on June the 1st in Lubbock County.
He went from gambling to like fried food. That's his new vice or something.
Buffets.
I'm just glad to see, and this is, man, I'm going to come across, but.
We love you, Pat. Come on.
Reading the president of Texas Tech.
Oh, yeah.
I hope that if I'm a sophomore student from Midland, Texas, and I go to school at Texas Tech and I work 2 jobs and I have a gambling addiction, I hope that I am giving the same opportunities that the $5 million quarterback, Mr. Sorsby, has been given at Texas Tech.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. And you know what? They very well may have those opportunities for those students. I severely doubt it. But to have the president of the university to come out with what was that? It was a long-ass letter. I mean,
it was really long.
It was long.
It was really long.
And then he wants to.
He's had quite some time to pen it.
35 days.
Yes.
And then he wants to make it sound like he is not the first college athlete to face gambling addiction, and unfortunately, he will not be the last. Our responsibility as higher education leaders is to create environments that support young people's growth, maturation, and success, fit for the times in which they live. Given that Brendan has taken accountability for his addiction and actions, a brave act in any circumstance, but especially under the intense scrutiny of a national spotlight, we believe the best path forward is for him is on campus among his teammates, embraced by the strength of his community. End of quote. Okay. Nobody is saying that he can't be with his teammates. Nobody is saying that he can't come on campus. This is not an Aiden Holloway situation.
No, he can go to class.
He can
come work out.
He can be a college kid.
He can immerse himself in the day-to-day activities of being a student at is it Baghdad College? What is it?
Yes.
Oh, Texas Tech University.
Lubbock.
That's right. That's what our future governor called it back in the day.
Compared it to Baghdad.
So yeah, I'm sorry, but I just, did anybody else have a problem with this?
I didn't like the fact that he's asking for them to either overturn or reverse the ruling in terms of either making him eligible for the full year or just maybe give him a half a year suspension. And you're advocating for them to basically give him a slap on the wrist. And then a paragraph later, you're talking about how Texas Tech is going to do everything in their power to protect the integrity of the sport. It's one or the other. You can't have your way and also protect the integrity of the sport. You have to pick one lane and
you
go. You
also have to be held accountable for your actions. Mm-hmm. End of discussion.
Right.
If I go out here and I break the law in Homewood, then I better be prepared that I am going to face penalty and maybe be thrown in jail, whatever the case or whatever I did. That's just part of it. I mean, he has yet to feel the repercussions of what he did. But we are not saying that he needs to be like the baby thrown out with
No,
the bathwater.
no.
We're
Don't
not saying-
exile the kid.
Not at all. But when you make these comments like he is taking accountability for his addiction and actions, yes, that's very brave of him to do so. Glad he went through the 35 days of rehab. And it was a brave act, especially someone that is in the national spotlight like him. Nobody is saying that that's not. But when the president of the university comes out and goes on, and if I'm a general studies major at Texas Tech University and I got problems, I got pressures, I've got mental anxiety because I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to pay next month's tuition that's due, or how am I going to pay for my apartment? I'm not a $5 million quarterback. Are they giving the same grace to these students that they're giving their $5 million quarterback? My prediction is no.
And how well does this president, has he ever met Brendan Sorsby? Does he reference that at all? Because you are vouching for a young man that just got to your campus a few months ago, right? I understand it. I wasn't totally ready to ban him and say he should never play football again, but yes, a suspension was warranted, whether it was going to be an entire season or was it going to be half the season. You got to deal with it. I hate to think that we never see Brendan Sorsby play any form of football again, but you're right, Pat. It's a rule. Broke the rule. Not only did he break the rule,
He broke it tens of thousands of times.
Yeah, it wasn't like he broke it once by accident.
This wasn't a misfire on his phone late at night in a drunken stupor.
No,
and I find it hard to believe. I'm sorry, but whether you think it's innocent or not, I find it hard to believe there's not a little part of your conscience when you're betting on the team that you're a part of, whether you're betting on them to win or whatever, that doesn't go, I shouldn't do this.
The problem that
You
I
did it
have,
anyways.
and it's two separate issues, and one, the problem I have is the double standard. It's the Brendan Sorsby, you broke an NCAA rule, you should pay. Okay, fine. What about the guy that goes and breaks the law? Like, bad stuff.
Yeah.
Really bad stuff. We're just going to give him some training. And I know that the appropriate discipline in our eyes, that happens in some of those cases, but we've seen examples of, are you serious? You're really going to cheer for that guy on the field? After what he was charged and convicted of?
I will applaud the NCAA because it is a black and white issue.
Yeah.
It was the same thing that happened with Pete Rose in Major League Baseball. You bet, you're banned.
Mm-hmm.
Period. I mean, there's no gray area. And it prohibits students from betting on any NCAA sanctioned sport.
Ask Rick Neuheisel.
Period. Rick Neuheisel lost his job at Washington because he was involved in a NCAA tournament pool. How ridiculous is that?
I've told you guys, NCAA people that work for the NCAA cannot go to a house that has a pool during tournament time.
Yeah.
If they have squares.
Yeah.
You lose your job. Whether you're active or not.
Love to hear from you. 1-800-239-WJX.
Who's going to be their quarterback?
They got that backup that's recovering from, ACL?
Is it going to be the
knee?
Tulsa transfer?
Well, he's got, 3 months to prepare.
That defense better be solid again.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously he's going to go in front of a judge on June the 1st, hoping to have better success than Charles Bediako did and find his way on the playing field and see what happens.
Like we talked about with that, though, this would be a dangerous precedent to set if you're that judge.
Yeah, and based on
ruling.
the president of the University of Georgia on the Paul Feinbaum show yesterday, he said that we are already living in anarchy when it comes to college sports, that we're here. It's here now where people can do whatever they want to do.
I don't know what it means, but I love it.
All right, we are live, waiting to hear from you, 1-800-239-WJOX. We'll try to catch up with some folks down at Destin. It's a very fluid situation over the next few minutes, next hour or so, but we will do our best to try to get in touch with those folks, and we will continue the conversation here on Jocks. Text line is open, 205-834-9450, 1-800-239-WJOX. Brian Edwards will join us from MajorWager.com, Vegas Insider at 10:45 as the NBA Finals one half has already been set as the New York Knickerbockers. Can we still call them the Knickerbockers? I like that name.
Do you?
Yeah. Instead of the Knicks.
I like the Knicks.
Call them by their full name.
You can still do that. When I think Knickerbockers, I think Phil Jackson.
Do you?
Yes. I feel, yes.
I thought you were going to say pants. Like when you hear the word Knickerbockers, you think
No,
of
but
pants.
But yeah. Right in line.
Pantaloons. Yeah.
No, I think of the short shorts back in the 50s that they wore with the tube socks that just covered the shin.
Yeah.
That's what I think about when you say Knickerbockers.
Maybe that's why they were named that.
So you're going to be locked in for the finals?
No. No.
I think the finals
if
actually
this
could
is
be
like
really
a
good
U.S.
this year.
Olympic hockey question, let me know. But if there's something patriotic here.
Yeah, it's
like I
American
should-
basketball.
Depends on who you ask, Conrad.
What if
I see a lot of Euro in their game these days.
what? Fair enough. What if Jack Hughes is courtside for a game? Would you watch
That
it?
changes things.
Okay, you'd watch that
Yes.
one? Okay.
Yes, with that snaggletooth.
I think the finals are going to be good this year. I'm excited.
You're super excited, aren't you?
The Western Conference Finals are awesome with the Saints and the Thunder.
Are you still
Or the
gonna have your
Spurs
draft party?
and the Thunder. My draft party?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're having it at LeBaron Philon's house.
That's nice.
Pat,
He's having us over.
We had an NBA draft pool party.
Hey, you told everyone at Social Taco his pool's broken.
Mice.
Mice ate into your line,
Yeah.
your water line.
Ew.
Dead mice just
I'm
floating
just
in your pool.
I did have mice in my house, but I killed them. But yeah, Molly, I guess I didn't tell you that.
You know, it's kind of odd that you have mice in your house because based on the fact that you do videos of you cleaning your house during patriotic sporting events.
It was a shock.
Yeah.
Well, we found out there's a hole in behind the sink that goes like outside, so we had to
What'd you put in there? Steel wool?
cover that up. Yeah, just an old shirt, just
Flex seal,
clogged it
steel
in there.
wool? You got some poison outside?
But we had, we have like 8 mouse traps very strategically placed around our inside and outside of our
Get those
house.
tomcats.
That's what we got. Yeah.
Big old.
Just
Yeah.
buy a cat.
That was Paige's suggestion. She wants a cat. So I was like, well, this
Cat
is-
will take care of
this
that
is
pretty
good.
quick.
You should get her a
This is
cat.
good validation for you. We're going to have to get a cat.
Just keep the cat outside, right?
It could be like an indoor-outdoor cat.
Yeah, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Get a feral.
I don't know if I want that. We'll see. TBD on the cat. We'll figure it out.
Well, we have a long summer of heat and humidity ahead, so keep your home and your family comfortable with America's most reliable HVAC brand, Trane. And to help, Trane is offering up to $1,350 rebate on select home comfort systems. So learn more and find a specialist near you at Trane.com.
So as we went off the air yesterday, we continue to have that conversation about Kirby Smart's comments yesterday. He was on the Paul Feinbaum show yesterday afternoon. He did not go into the details that he did earlier when he met with the media, but let's take a listen. This is what Kirby said behind the microphone. This is kind of put a little context of what we were discussing yesterday about the SEC potentially, according to Kirby Smart, breaking away.
But I've said this for a long time to our president. I've been a huge advocate that if we can't find rules that everybody plays by, then we should, play our own. I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid to break away and say that our conference is strong enough to go out and play. I mean, like if we could actually function and it financially would make our programs more stable and we could support things financially, I'm talking about all the sports, and do by our own rules, I'd be all for that.
As he said to Paul yesterday afternoon, he basically said, look, I'm trying to protect all of these sports. And he admitted, he said, listen, if all these other sports end up going away, it is going to help football. It is going to help my football program from a monetary situation. But he goes, I don't want that. Like, I don't want us to lose women's tennis. I don't want us to lose, men's track and field, whatever the case may be. He wants those Olympic sports to stay strong. They want them to continue to be funded. But at least he was being honest by saying, I understand that if those do go away, that means that money is going to be freed up and probably that money is going to be siphoned to a football or a men's basketball program, because that's the two programs in most athletic departments that actually make it in the black, not the red.
No, and I believe that most coaches, they feel that way. It's healthy for your program, and how other sports affect. I know that they do, but I just go back to the D3 and calling D3 games back in the day, Pat, and talking to a college president. They talked about the importance of admissions, the type of student that they can attract just by simply fielding a football team, and how much that changes. And you think about the other sports, and I think about those situations, about how those student athletes, they supported the other student athletes, whether it was the men's tennis or the women's tennis or softball, and going over and being that support. And to maybe on a smaller scale, that still exists at places like Georgia and Alabama and Auburn. So I do believe genuinely that Kirby's smart. He does feel that way. He doesn't want the other sports to go away. At what point, though, is a football program willing to sacrifice to keep those others alive?
Yeah. I mean, I think at the major Power Four, you will, because all these coaches most of the time have really good relationships with the other coaches.
Yeah.
And I think most of them would want to see the university succeed and not those programs, go away. But I don't think there's any doubt. Like, they've raised all this money for Arkansas tennis, both men's and women's. And you had independent donors give near $10 million? Was that it? $5 to $10 million to bring these programs back. And I'm not saying that they wouldn't have been ticked off because their love for tennis was not going to be affiliated with the University of Arkansas anymore. So they might not have given any more money to the school because you'd been ticked off. But ultimately, that money potentially could have been to John Calipari, to basketball, or to the football program.
Yeah.
But
how many, you were probably different at UAB. Conrad would be a good one to ask. How many Olympic sports did you go and watch Alabama compete in?
0. The only sporting events I went to were football, basketball, baseball, and softball when I was a student.
I never even, softball, it wasn't even recognized when I was in school. It was still a club sport. So it would have been the three for me. It would have been basketball, baseball, and football.
Yeah, I mean, obviously facilities have changed immensely at UAB. But when I was a student, the softball team had played at Green Springs on the field closest to the actual Green Springs Highway. That's where the women's softball team played. And, the basketball team, Bartow Arena was built, when I was a student. But, they used to practice in Bell Gym across the street. Our intramural field was where Coach Bill Clark and his football team practiced for many, many years. And if it came a heavy rain, you had broken bottles on the field.
Of course.
I mean, it's just,
I'd see the rowing team practicing in the river.
I've seen the Alabama rowing team practicing. I was down there one day.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, you'd be, walking down there and you'd see them practicing.
Yeah.
If that counts.
You notice that. You don't see that every day in Alabama going down a river.
No, it definitely stands out, but never made it to an
that
event.
Looks coordinated and on purpose.
Yeah, very much. It's a very large, skinny boat.
When we come back, there's some news that are coming out, some details about this Ted Cruz and Maria Cantwell bill. And I will try to get through this during a commercial break, but one of the things that I just saw was the Lane Kiffin rule. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what the Lane Kiffin rule means.
Oh, that's actually in the text of the...
I'm sitting here looking at the one-time transfer, 5-year eligibility, pro player ban, hard cap, 5% max agent fee, Lane Kiffin rule, optional pooling of TV rights, prohibits Super League. So these are just some of the highlights that I'm being sent now.
Lane Kiffin rule could be...
That could mean a lot of different things. So, we're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll tell you, hopefully, what the Lane Kiffin rule means in this potential Senate legislation that is being introduced by Ted Cruz That's next on Three Man Front.
10:37, three-man front. That's a good pull by Conrad Van Order. Awaiting to learn what the Lane Kiffin rule is, a part of the Preserving College Sports Act, a bipartisan bill that has been introduced. We'll get into more of that in a moment. But with the rain here, the stormy season here, No-Toe Roofing, being able to protect your biggest investment, that being your home most likely, is really of utmost importance. And you got a local owned and operated company in No-Toe Roofing. The owners, Sammy and Matt No-Toe, have known these guys a long time, but they've got a talented team, trustworthy individuals like Chris, who's their general superintendent, been in it for 3 decades. They're offering free inspections to all Jocks listeners. All you do is give them a call, 205-848-2299. They come out to your home, and they will get on the roof, and they'll inspect it. If you don't need anything, you look like you're good to go. They'll tell you that. If you do, they need to take a closer look like they did at our house, they will do so. They'll work with the insurance company if you need help in the claims process. We could not be happier. They got the new roof on. We got some ridge vents. Already can tell the difference, the temperature in our home, because we got more ventilation in the attic. No-Toe Roofing, NOTOroofing.com, NOTOroofing.com, 205-848-2299. When Sammy answers the phone, tell him Landrum from Three Man Front sent you.
All right, so the bill is called the Protect College Sports Act. It has been penned by Senators Ted Cruz and Maria Cantwell. This is the details of this groundbreaking legislation. Keep in mind, as you just heard the song, there's a lot of things that have to happen after a bill is introduced, if you remember your old civics classes back in the day. I'm going to cut it down for you. One-time transfer, meaning you cannot go and transfer multiple times. That's it. One time only. You got 5 years eligibility, pro player ban. So any of those guys that have left school, they've gone off, tried their likes in a Euro League, NBA, whatever the case may be, you can't come back and play. There's going to be a hard cap, hard salary cap. 5% max agent fee. So those guys that go out and sign 5-star studs like Conrad Van Order, if I'm your agent, I can only charge Conrad 5% of whatever he's going to make from NIL. There's something called the Lane Kiffin rule. Now, that's not the official name in the legislation. It would be really cool if they put it in there like that, but this is what most people on Capitol Hill are basically saying. What he did this last year will not be permitted by law if this is passed, which means you cannot jump ship in the middle of the season. Like, there will be a time, unless you are obviously fired from your job, there will be a time, just like it is in the NFL, in which that you are allowed to go take another job. So you cannot leave for another job as a season continues. That's called the Lane Kiffin rule. The optional pooling of TV rights. This is where the Big Ten and the SEC, they've spent a lot of money on a white paper to try to point out that if you were to pull these TV rights, the actual money is going to go down. That's according to the SEC and the Big Ten. But according to Ted Cruz and Senator Cantwell, they believe that you should have the option of pooling all your TV rights and then distribute that money equally. It also prohibits the so-called Super League. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to protect the likes of the Troys, the Jacksonville States, the UABs, these smaller schools that are not part of the Power Four. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts. If you want to read all the disgusting legalese from a Capitol Hill point of view, you can access that at many different websites. But I've just kind of given you the 30,000-foot view of what this is. I believe this is going to be very difficult to pass, just like anything these days are. Not to mention the fact that you've seen over the last week or two, the Congressional Black Congress or the caucus, they have had certain issues. There have been called for boycotts for certain Southeastern Conference schools because of redistricting. So, I mean, there's a lot of things at play in which there will be a lot of folks trying to do some horse trading to see if they can't get something passed. But that kind of gives you an idea of what you're looking at.
And some of the stuff, it's main points that they wanted to make sure that they included. like you said, the reality of I go back to what we're calling now the Lane Kiffin rule. The coaches must stay at a job. Ole Miss didn't want him to stay, even if he had not. You're not going to stop tampering of agents talking to agents and getting to their client. So if a guy knows that he's going to take a job and it's been agreed in principle with a phone call or a late night meeting somewhere in person, it's not going to change. And so that to me is not. The pulling of the TV rights, that's going to be a big one. The prohibits super leagues, I would love to see how that's structured and how that would play out. Hard salary cap's really interesting to me.
Yeah, according to this, I'm trying to get a hard cap number here. It says the cap system will be similar to the NFL salary cap. Next year, each school has $21.3 million to spend on all of their athletes. But many programs, in order to achieve the advantage in a competitive recruiting environment, have redirected corporate sponsor cash to the rosters disguised as third-party NIL compensation that doesn't count against the cap. It says, given the above cap spending, football rosters have ballooned, as we all know and talk about, over $30 million. This piece of legislation stands to grant the College Sports Commission a new enforcement entity created by the power leagues to prevent phony third-party payments. They're giving them a lot of power to go after schools, and folks won't be able to sue. So if the CSC says that, hey, Nebraska, we just found you guilty of illegally paying all these players, which an arbitrator said they agreed with the CSC, then Nebraska would just have to swallow it and go, up, okay, it's a jagged pill, but it is what it is.
I wonder on a hard cap too, can you have deferred where it doesn't hit you like we have in baseball, where that number is not going towards the cap? And there's a lot of
we'll pay you $500,000 now, but we'll pay you $10 million over a 20-year period, but we're going to pay you $500,000
because there's already, and I'm sure that they got a copy of what would be in this bill. There's already staffs that are picking things. If this does pass, this is the way we get around it.
I was about to say that's because, technically, they tried to do that with the $20.5 million cap a couple years ago, and here we are with $50 million football rosters. So I feel like that one's going to be very difficult.
The max agent fees, I think that's good.
That is good. I agree with that because you don't want kids being taken advantage of, which happens a lot.
And
I agree with that.
That has happened, and that's happened. I can name 3 different times I've heard stories of guys here locally that could have gotten a really, really raw deal had somebody that was not looking out for their best interests, including former coach, where the guy was leaving, looking out for player and contacting new coach to let them know something is not right here. The pulling of the TV rights, to me, that should be left up to the conferences. That's your business.
Well, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to rewrite the Broadcasting Act of 1961.
Yeah,
and that's going to be a problem.
No, I'm not. I understand the spirit of it, but not for the socialism and the big pot, and just trying to keep everybody afloat. When, there's a reason why that the product is what it is. Do you think that the passion is the same as in the Pacific Northwest as it is in the Southeast?
Of course,
for
not.
College football.
Of course not.
But why did they get an equal slice of the pie?
The Lane Kiffin rule makes it illegal for coaches to leave their teams before the season concludes, and schools cannot hire coaches before a season concludes. Those on Capitol Hill are referring to this as the Lane Kiffin rule.
Yeah, good luck with that one. Now, you could pass that one. Tampering, that's be tough to prove unless you had subpoena power and you got the phone.
Well, here's the deal. If this becomes law, they will have subpoena power.
Yeah.
That's the complete difference. The NCAA did not have subpoena power, so you could not go after certain schools.
But does this address tampering with the coaches?
If you could prove that LSU had a conversation with Lane Kiffin, or Scott Strickland at the University of Florida had a conversation with Lane Kiffin during the season, then yeah, the CSC and the NCAA or whoever you're going to say is the arm of the law, that they will have the law behind them. This is completely different.
And if you're found guilty of that, does that just stay in the collegiate realm, or is in that's now a federal? What are we talking about here? You facing time?
I don't think you're facing time. I think you could,
What are you in here for? Well,
what you're going to end up
tampering with a linebacker.
Well, what you're going to end up happening is if someone's got actual teeth to these rules that are going to be broken, you will have a situation where you might be banned from television. You might lose scholarships. You can't go in the transfer portal. You can't do this.
We can't ban TV though, Pat, because that messes up that school in the Mountain West that gets the equal slice of the pie.
Yeah.
That's going to mess up their pooling.
Yeah. So, this is good fodder, good conversation,
Sure.
and based the way that I was tipped off about an hour ago of what was going to happen, and now it's happened. I think the SEC will applaud certain aspects to this, but there's definitely certain things to it that they will shoot holes in, just like the Big Ten will.
I think the first four that I wrote down that you read through: the one-time transfer, the 5 years eligibility, the hard salary cap, the 5% max agent fees.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all solid.
Yeah.
I think this other stuff that you named after that, it's nice to include it, but it's a pipe dream.
Yeah. And even if you have the votes in the Senate, then you got to go to the House and you see how messed up the House is. You've got so many factions in the House. I know this is using air quotes bipartisan, but when was the last time that you saw anything that was bipartisan? Even the most simplest thing getting passed.
Exactly.
In the U.S. Congress. This is not a shot at whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. That's just the way it is now. So we'll see if Senator Cruz and Maria Cantwell can have a little bit more success than others. We will continue on. We're going to talk to Brian Edwards at the top of the hour as we've kind of run long here on this segment because of this breaking news coming out of Washington, D.C. This is 3-Man Front on Jocks. It is 10:53. We'll talk to Brian Edwards, Vegas Insider, at the top of the hour. Your foundation and waterproofing specialist is Deep South Construction Pros. Deep South is a family-owned company with real Southern roots. If you're dealing with foundation issue or moisture problems this time of the year, a lot of people will be having those issues around your house. Deep South Construction Pros, they're your experts. Foundation repair and waterproofing, that's the backbone of what they do every single day. From cracks and wood damage to crawl-space moisture and mold, their trained crews fix the problem at the source. So get started today. Simply go to their website, deepsouthconstructionpros.com. That's deepsouthconstructionpros.com. Deep South Construction Pros, your home. It's their commitment because if it's your home, it matters to them. deepsouthconstructionpros.com.
We'll continue to discuss bipartisan bill that's been introduced by Senators Cruz and Cantwell. We'll get reaction, maybe some folks that are there in Destin, Florida, the SEC, what they think about the bill, some of the points that Pat laid out, some of the highlights. The one-time transfer is included in that, the 5 years of eligibility, a hard salary cap, 5% max agent fees, the Lane Kiffin rule, which there's response on the text line to 205-834-9450. This one reads, so under the Lane Kiffin rule, if a coach is determined to be changing schools but can't leave until the end of the season, can the school he's leaving suspend him before the end of the season? That was my point. Ole Miss didn't want Lane Kiffin, knowing that he was going to LSU, being in that building, on that campus, leading that football team. Whether he had taken the job or not, if those conversations are still going on, I think that most of the time you got a school that's aware of it or it gets around pretty quick. Would you have the option to tell him your services are no longer needed?
Yeah, this is all that it lists, and we're calling it the Lane Kiffin rule because some on Capitol Hill, they kind of loosely called this section the Lane Kiffin rule. It makes it illegal. Illegal. You break the law if a coach leaves their teams before the season concludes, and schools cannot hire coaches before a season concludes.
They better not enact that retroactively. Because isn't that how Brian Kelly... Just trying to think this... What about this just last season? How many coaches left their teams to take other jobs? That's the way the calendar kind of works, isn't it? We're going to have to adjust the calendar now?
I think that's kind of the direction they're going.
My name is Megan Klingenberg. I was a professional soccer player for over 10 years, and like most players, I gotta be honest, I have some baggage when it comes to referees. I wanted to know, who are these refs? What kind of person gives up their weekend to call fouls and hand out cards? Why do they do it? So this time on the U.S. Soccer Podcast, I'm going to referee camp. The U.S. Soccer Podcast presented by Henkel. Follow and listen on your favorite platform. My name is Megan Klingenberg. I was a professional soccer player for over 10 years, and like most players, I gotta be honest, I have some baggage when it comes to referees. I wanted to know, who are these refs? What kind of person gives up their weekend to call fouls and hand out cards? Why do they do it? So this time on the U.S. Soccer Podcast, I'm going to referee camp. The U.S. Soccer Podcast presented by Henkel. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.